The war room was cold. Admiral Catherine Frost liked it that way. The chill kept her mind sharp, and she needed every edge she could get today. The blue glow from display screens lit up her face. Lines of worry had formed around her eyes over the past 3 years of war against the Zraki Empire. Outside Earth's atmosphere, 10,000 alien ships waited. Their weapons could turn the planet to ash in minutes. Kate touched the small scar on her neck. The nanites inside her body had been sleeping for nearly 2 years. She had sworn to use them only if there was no other choice. Today might be that day. "Admiral, incoming transmission," said Lieutenant Sam Porter. His young face looked pale in the dim light. "It's from the Emperor himself." Kate nodded. "Put it on the main screen." The image that appeared made several officers step back. Emperor Valak of the Zraki Empire filled the screen. His skin was gray-blue with small scales that caught the light. 4 yellow eyes blinked at different times. When he smiled, his teeth looked like small knives. "Admiral Frost," said the Emperor. His voice sounded like stones grinding together. "Your resistance has been impressive. Futile, but impressive. No species has fought us for so long." Kate said nothing. She simply watched and waited. "Look outside your windows, Admiral. My fleet surrounds your world. Your orbital defenses are broken. Your ships are destroyed or damaged. You have fought. Well, but the war's over." Kate's second in command, Commander Alan Wright, moved to stand beside her. His hand rested on his pistol, though the gesture was useless against an enemy millions of miles away. "I am not without mercy," continued the Emperor. "I give you 7 hours to submit to Zraki rule. Your surrender must be complete and without conditions. If you refuse, Earth will burn. The choice is simple." The screen went dark. Commander Wright turned to Kate. "We need to consider our options, Admiral. Maybe we can negotiate better terms." Kate looked around the room. 20 faces stared back at her. These were the last high-ranking officers of Earth's defense forces. They had fought for 3 years against an enemy with better technology and more ships. They had seen billions die as colony worlds fell to the Zraki advance. "Charlie, what's the status of our remaining forces?" Kate asked. The AI's voice filled the room. "Earth Defense Fleet is at 12% capacity. We have 37 functional warships. Orbital defense platforms are at 8% capacity. Ground forces are at 41% capacity but scattered across multiple continents." Kate nodded slowly. "And the civilian evacuation?" "Evacuation ships can take approximately 2.3 million people off planet before Zraki forces could intercept them. Earth's current population is 4.2 billion. The room fell silent. The numbers told a clear story. There was no way to save everyone. There might be no way to save anyone. "We've known this day might come," Kate said finally. "That's why we created contingency plans." General Maria Lopez, head of ground forces, leaned forward. "You're not suggesting Project Baba Yaga?" Kate's eyes met hers. "I am." The room erupted in voices. Project Baba Yaga had been deemed too dangerous by the United Defense Council years ago. It was officially scrapped, though rumors said work had continued in secret. Silence. Kate's voice cut through the noise. "I'm not asking for opinions. I'm informing you of my decision." She tapped a command into her wrist computer. "Dr. Olivia Reeves, please report to War Room Alpha immediately." Commander Wright stepped closer to Kate, speaking softly. "Catherine, think about this. Even if Baba Yaga works as designed, you're talking about sacrificing yourself." Kate smiled slightly. "The project bonded with me 3 years ago, Alan. The decision was made back then." 10 minutes later, the door slid open. Dr. Olivia Reeves entered, carrying a small metal case. Her red hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and dark circles under. Her eyes showed she hadn't slept in days. "Is it time?" she asked simply. Kate nodded. "The Emperor gave us 7 hours. I plan to pay him a visit before the deadline." Dr. Reeves set the case on the table and opened it. Inside was a small injector filled with silvery liquid. "This will fully activate the nanites in your system. The process will be unpleasant." "Will it work?" asked General Lopez. Dr. Reeves looked at her. The nanites have been learning and adapting inside Admiral Frost for 3 years. They've integrated with her nervous system and muscle tissue. If the tests are accurate, she'll be 3 times stronger and faster than any human has ever been. The nanites will allow her to interface with any technology, adapt to almost any environment, and heal from most injuries within seconds. She turned back to Kate. But there's a cost. Each time the nanites repair you, they'll replace a little more of your human tissue with their own structures. Eventually, I won't be human anymore. Kate finished. I understand. Commander Wright shook his head. This is insane. Even with these enhancements, how do you plan to reach the Emperor? His flagship is surrounded by the entire Zraki fleet. Kate turned to Charlie. Show me the specs on the Emperor's ship. A hologram appeared in the center of the table. A massive vessel, shaped like an arrowhead, rotated slowly in the air. The Imperial flagship Eternal Dominion is 12 kilometers long, said Charlie. It contains approximately 50,000 crew members and 10,000 elite guards. Its shields have never been penetrated. Kate studied the image. Every ship has weaknesses. Charlie, what about Dr. Reeves's phase shift technology? The prototype is functional but untested in combat conditions. Kate looked at Dr. Reeves. Will it get me through their shields? In theory, said Dr. Reeves. The pod will shift partially, out of normal spacetime. For a few seconds it should pass through solid matter as if it wasn't there. But Kate, we've never tried it against Zraki shield technology. Kate nodded. Prepare the pod and the phase shift device. General Lopez, I need your best infiltration team to create a diversion. She looked at the clock on the wall. 6 hours and 45 minutes remained. What exactly do you plan to do if you reach the Emperor? Asked Commander Wright. Kate picked up the injector from the case. I'm going to show the Zraki Empire why humans named a project after Baba Yaga. In our old stories, she was the witch you called when death itself wasn't frightening enough. Without hesitation, she pressed the injector to her neck and pushed the button. The silvery liquid disappeared into her skin. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Kate gasped and fell to her knees. Blue lines spread across her skin like glowing veins. Her eyes closed in pain. The officers moved to help her, but Dr. Reeves held up her hand. Don't touch her. The nanites are integrating fully with her system. After what seemed like forever, the blue lines faded. Kate opened her eyes. They glowed with an unnatural blue light for a moment before returning to their normal green. She stood up slowly. When she spoke, her voice was steady. Prepare the phase shift pod. I leave in 1 hour. As the others hurried to follow her orders, Kate looked once more at the image of the Emperor's ship. Her face showed no emotion, but inside her mind, something new had awakened, something patient, calculated, and utterly merciless. Baba Yaga was going hunting. 1 month after the death of Emperor Valak, Commander Alan Wright stood in Earth's orbital command center. The massive window showed a view of their planet, still whole, still free. Around him, officers went about their duties with a new sense of purpose. Humanity had survived. Status report on the Zraki fleet, Alan requested. Lieutenant Sam Porter, recently promoted after the loss of so many senior officers, responded promptly. Completely withdrawn from the Sol system, sir. Long range. Scans show no Zraki vessels within 50 light years. Alan nodded. And the refugee ships? 3 more arrived yesterday from Proxima Centauri. Over 2 million colonists have made it back to Earth so far. It was a miracle, really. When Kate had killed the Emperor and broadcast his death across the Zraki communication network, the effect had been more dramatic than anyone could have predicted. The Empire, built on fear and the myth of Zraki invincibility, had begun to fracture immediately. Without their immortal Emperor to hold them together, old rivalries between Zraki factions had resurfaced. Ships that had been tasked with maintaining the blockade of Earth had either retreated or turned against each other. The few commanders who remained loyal to the Emperor's final orders lacked the numbers to pose a serious threat. Earth had survived. And not just survived, they had won. but the victory had come at a price that Alan felt keenly. Kate Frost, his friend and commander for 15 years, was gone. Her last transmission from the Emperor's flagship had been brief, but clear. She could not return to Earth. The nanites had changed her too much. "Sir?" called Lieutenant Porter, interrupting Alan's thoughts. "We're receiving a transmission from Outpost Theta." "Put it through," Alan ordered. The main screen activated, showing the face of Dr. Olivia Reeves. She looked exhausted but excited. "Commander Wright, we've detected a Zraki vessel entering the system. It's small, scout class." Alan straightened. "Hostile?" "No, sir. It's broadcasting on our frequencies." "And, Commander..." Dr. Reeves paused, her expression a mixture of disbelief and hope. "It's her. It's Admiral Frost." Alan's heart raced. "Are you certain?" "The voice is hers. The access codes are valid, but she's requesting that we prepare containment protocols before she docks." Alan understood immediately. The nanites. Kate was worried about what she might have become. "Tell her we're ready," he said firmly. "I'll meet her myself." 4 hours later, Alan stood in a specially prepared chamber at Outpost Theta. The walls were reinforced with the strongest materials Earth could produce. Energy fields designed to contain nanite technology hummed softly. If Kate had lost control of the nanites, if they had taken over completely, this room could contain the threat. The airlock cycled open. A figure stepped through, and Alan's breath caught in his throat. It was Kate, but changed. Her skin had a faint metallic sheen. Lines like circuit patterns were visible beneath the surface. Her movements were too precise, too fluid to be fully human. But her eyes were still the same green he remembered. "Alan," she said, her voice slightly different, with a subtle electronic undertone. "It's good to see you." "Kate," he replied, fighting to keep his voice steady. "We thought you weren't coming back." She smiled, and the expression was almost human. "I wasn't planning to, but things have changed." Kate walked farther into the room, careful to remain within the containment field. "The nanites have stabilized. They're still changing me, but more slowly now. Dr. Reeves was right, I'll never be fully human again. But I haven't lost myself either." Alan nodded. "What have you been doing for the past month?" "Hunting," Kate replied simply. The Emperor's flagship contained the complete records of the Zraki Empire. Every world they conquered, every species they enslaved, every military base and secret project. She held up her hand, and nanites formed a holographic projection above her palm. It showed a map of the galaxy, with hundreds of points marked in red. "I've been visiting these worlds, breaking Zraki control, freeing people who have been under their rule for generations." Alan stared at the map in amazement. Alone? One person against an empire? Kate's smile turned cold. "The Zraki called me Baba Yaga. The name has spread. Most of their commanders flee rather than face me. Those who don't..." She let the sentence hang unfinished. "And the Emperor?" Alan asked. "You said in your last transmission that you had captured his consciousness." Kate touched a small container at her belt. "He's been educational. Every defense system, every security protocol, every secret the Zraki have is in his mind. And the nanites can extract that information directly." She looked around the containment room. "I'm not staying, Alan. I came back to share what I've learned and to make sure Earth is prepared for what's coming." Alan frowned. "What do you mean? The Zraki are retreating." "The Zraki are just one empire in a very large galaxy," Kate replied. "There are others out there. Some worse than the Zraki. Some who will see Earth's victory as a threat. Others who will see it as an opportunity for alliance." The holographic map in her hand expanded, showing regions far beyond Zraki territory. "I've found evidence of at least 3 other major powers who were watching the war between Earth and the Zraki with great interest. They've been staying outside of Zraki space, but now that the Empire is collapsing, they're moving in." Alan absorbed this news with growing concern. "Are they hostile to Earth?" "Unknown," Kate said. "But I intend to find out. and to make sure they understand that humanity is not to be underestimated. She closed her hand, and the hologram disappeared. I've transmitted everything I know to Earth's defense systems, ship designs, weapon specifications, star charts of regions the Zraki had explored. Use it. Prepare. Alan studied his old friend. Despite her changed appearance, he could still see the determination that had always defined her. How long can you continue like this? The nanites are still changing me, Kate finished for him. But slower now. I might have years. I might have centuries. The Emperor lived for over 300 years before I killed him. She stepped closer to the edge of the containment field. I need to know that Earth will be ready, Alan. That everything I've done hasn't just bought you a brief reprieve. Alan stood straighter. We'll be ready. The Zraki didn't destroy us, nothing will. Kate nodded, satisfied. There's one more thing. I'm not alone anymore. Before Alan could ask what she meant, the airlock cycled open again. Another figure stepped through. A tall, blue-skinned being with 4 eyes. A Zraki, but smaller than the warriors Earth had fought against. Alan instinctively reached for his weapon, but Kate held up her hand. This is Kren. He was a communications officer on the Emperor's flagship when I infiltrated it. He helped me understand the full extent of the Empire's records. The Zraki named Kren bowed slightly to Alan. Not all my people supported the Emperor's wars of conquest, Commander. Many of us were born into an empire we had no part in building. Kate continued. I've found others like him on the worlds I've visited. Former subjects of the Empire who want to build something better. We're gathering on a space station in neutral territory, a place where species who were once enemies can learn to work together. She smiled, and for a moment looked more human than she had since entering the room. Some are calling it Baba Yaga's Haven. I didn't choose the name, but it seems to have stuck. Alan tried to process everything she was telling him. You're building an alliance? I'm building a shield, Kate corrected. A cooperation between species who understand the danger of empires like the Zraki. Earth won't stand alone in what's coming. Her expression grew serious. The nanites give me powers no human was meant to have, Alan. I can interface with any technology. I can survive in environments that would kill an unmodified human instantly. I'm becoming something new. She touched the container at her belt again, the one containing the Emperor's consciousness. But I haven't forgotten who I am or where I came from. Earth will always be under my protection. Alan looked at his old friend, seeing both the human she had been and the something more she had become. Will you come back again? When I can, Kate promised, but my work is out there now. She turned to leave, then stopped. There's a ship coming to Earth in 3 days. A vessel from one of the civilizations beyond Zraki space. They call themselves the Eladri. They're peaceful explorers who were avoiding Zraki territory. Now they want to establish contact with the species that brought down an empire. Kate's eyes met Alan's one last time. Welcome them, Alan. Earth needs friends out there. With that, she and the Zraki named Kren returned to the airlock. Before the door closed, Kate looked back over her shoulder. Tell Dr. Reeves her project worked better than she ever imagined. And tell her I don't regret a thing. The airlock sealed. Minutes later, sensors showed the small scout ship departing from the outpost, accelerating rapidly before jumping to faster-than-light speed. Alan stood at the observation window, watching the point of light that was Kate's ship fade into the darkness of space. Earth was safe, at least for now, and somewhere out there their protector was hunting. Baba Yaga, who had killed an emperor in 7 minutes, was now the most feared and respected being in the galaxy, and she was one of their own. 2 days later, Alan addressed the United Earth Council. Representatives from every surviving human colony listened as he explained what Kate had told him. The Emperor's communication system was unlike anything humans had developed. It didn't use screens or speakers, but rather a form of holographic projection that filled the entire throne room. Kate's nanites interfaced with it easily, translating the alien technology into something she could control. Her fingers moved across the control panel, each touch sending commands into the system. Within seconds, she had access to the entire Zraki communication network. Every ship in the fleet, every colony world in their vast empire, was now connected to this room. "Record," Kate said simply. The system activated, capturing her image as she stood beside the Emperor's body. No point in hiding what she had done. In fact, showing it was essential to her plan. "My name is Admiral Catherine Frost of Earth," she began. Her voice was steady, emotionless. "Your Emperor gave humanity 7 hours to submit to Zraki rule. It took me 7 minutes to end his 300-year reign." She gestured to the body. Beside her, the Emperor's 4 eyes stared sightlessly at the ceiling of the throne room he had ruled from for centuries. "I am transmitting proof of the Emperor's death to every ship in your fleet and across your empire. Along with this message, I am sending specifications of the technology that allowed me to defeat him and his guards." This was a bluff. Earth had only one Baba Yaga, Kate herself. But the Zraki didn't know that. "The Zraki Empire now faces a choice," Kate continued. "Your ships surrounding Earth have 1 hour to retreat beyond the Sol System's heliopause. Any vessels remaining after that time will be destroyed. Earth and all human colonies are now and forever off limits to the Zraki Empire." She paused, letting the information sink in. Across the fleet, thousands of Zraki commanders were watching in stunned silence. Their immortal emperor, dead. Killed by a single human who had walked through their strongest defenses as if they weren't there. "This is not a negotiation," Kate added. "This is the new reality." She ended the transmission with a single touch to the control panel. Now she had to wait and see if her bluff would work. Kate walked around the throne room, studying the artifacts of Zraki conquest. Each display case held a trophy from a defeated civilization, the last crown of the Pelsian monarchy, the sacred crystal of Tau Ceti IV, the command key to the Altarian defense network. Hundreds of worlds, thousands of cultures, all brought to their knees by Zraki power. A sound drew her attention back to the throne. The Emperor's body was moving. No, something was moving inside it. A small silver sphere pushed its way out of the Emperor's chest and hovered in the air. "Fascinating," said a voice from the sphere. It spoke perfect English. "You killed me. No one has managed that in 3 centuries. Kate watched the sphere cautiously. Her nanites were already analyzing it, determining its composition and potential. "Threat level. A backup system," she said. "Your consciousness transferred to this device when your body died." The sphere pulsed with light as it spoke. "One of many such devices. Did you think a being as old as I am would not have contingency plans? My body can be replaced. My mind continues." Kate nodded. "I expected something like this. The nanites detected unusual energy readings in your neural tissue." "Then you know you have failed," the Emperor's voice said from the sphere. "I can transfer to a new body. I can continue to rule. Your dramatic gesture means nothing." Kate smiled slightly. "If I had come here to kill you permanently, I would have used a different approach. The nanites could have destroyed your neural patterns completely, preventing any transfer." The sphere moved closer to her. "Then why come at all? Why this elaborate infiltration?" "To send a message," Kate replied. "Not just to you, but to your entire empire. To show them that their immortal, all-powerful emperor could be reached and killed by a single human." She gestured toward the communication system. "Every Zraki in the empire just watched you die. They saw their ultimate leader defeated in his most secure sanctuary. The myth of Zraki invincibility ended 7 minutes ago." The sphere was silent for a moment. When the Emperor spoke again, his voice carried a new emotion. "Uncertainty. My commanders will not retreat. They have their orders. Earth will burn regardless of what happened here." Kate stepped out of the lift with calm precision. The corridor leading to the throne room stretched before her, lined with symbols of Zraki power. Battle flags hung from the walls, each representing a conquered world. Kate recognized the flag, of Mars among them. The Emperor's Praetorian Guard stood in formation. They were different from regular Zraki soldiers. Taller, with darker scales and modified bodies. Kate's nanites analyzed them instantly, identifying implants and genetic enhancements that made them faster and stronger than normal Zraki. The lead guard stepped forward. "Identify yourself," he demanded in the harsh Zraki language. Kate didn't respond. Instead, she interfaced with the ship's systems through a nearby panel. Her nanites sent a command to the corridor's lighting system. The lights went out, plunging the area into darkness. For most beings, this would mean blindness. But Kate's nanites had modified her eyes. She could see the heat signatures of the guards as they moved in confusion. She struck fast, taking down 2 guards before the emergency lights activated. The remaining guards formed a defensive circle, their weapons pointed outward. They communicated using short clicking sounds, a language designed for combat situations. "Human infiltrator detected," one of them said into his communicator. "Throne room breach in progress." Kate knew she had lost the element of surprise. Now she needed speed. The nanites flooded her system with energy, pushing her body beyond normal human limits. She moved like water, flowing between the guards' energy blasts. When a shot grazed her arm, the nanites immediately repaired the damage. The guards' formations designed to counter conventional attacks were useless against her fluid movements. Kate reached the first guard in their new formation. Her hand touched his chest plate, and nanites spread through the armor, disabling its power systems. The guard tried to strike her with his weapon, but Kate was already moving to the next target. 3 guards down. 4. 5. The remaining Praetorians backed toward the throne room door, firing continuously. Kate dodged most shots, but one caught her directly in the shoulder. The impact spun her around, and for a moment pain clouded her thoughts. The nanites responded instantly, numbing the pain and beginning repairs. But the injury slowed her down. A guard took advantage, closing the distance to engage her in hand-to-hand combat. These warriors trained their entire lives for physical combat. Under normal circumstances, no human could match their strength or skill. But Kate was no longer entirely human. As the guard struck, Kate's nanites predicted the movement and adjusted her position accordingly. She countered with precise strikes to vulnerable points in the Zraki anatomy, points she had learned during 3 years of war. The guard fell, and Kate moved on to the next. But now they understood her capabilities better. They coordinated, their attacks forcing Kate to defend from multiple directions at once. A blade sliced across her back. Another guard landed a powerful blow to her ribs. Kate felt bones crack. For a normal human, these would be critical injuries. For her, they were temporary setbacks. The nanites repaired the damage even as she continued fighting, but each repair changed her a little more. Kate could feel the difference now. Parts of her body responded with mechanical precision rather than human intuition. 6 guards down. 7. 8. The remaining 4 formed a final line before the throne room door. They carried ceremonial spears that crackled with energy, weapons designed to penetrate any armor. Kate paused, assessing the situation. Direct confrontation would be risky, even with the nanites. She needed another approach. She touched the wall, again connecting to the ship's systems. This time she sent a different command. The artificial gravity in the corridor suddenly reversed. The guards, caught by surprise, were thrown toward the ceiling. Their training allowed them to adjust quickly, but the momentary confusion was all Kate needed. She pushed off the floor, using the reversed gravity to launch herself at them. In the chaotic environment, Kate's nanite-enhanced adaptability gave her the edge. The guards fought bravely, but they were trained to fight in normal conditions. Kate moved like she had been born in zero gravity, using surfaces to push off in unexpected directions. 9 guards down. 10. 11. The final guard, realizing his situation, made a desperate move. He threw his energy spear directly at Kate's chest. Kate saw it coming but couldn't dodge completely. The spear pierced her left side, passing through her body. Pain exploded through her nervous system, more intense than anything the nanites could immediately suppress. Kate grabbed the shaft of the spear and pulled it through her body. Blood flowed freely from the wound, but only for seconds. The nanites swarmed the injury, closing blood vessels and regenerating damaged tissue. The last. Guard watched in horror as Kate's lethal wound healed before his eyes. He drew a ceremonial dagger, his final weapon, and charged. Kate met him halfway. The guard's blade sliced air as Kate moved aside with inhuman speed. She grabbed his arm and twisted. Bones snapped. Before he could cry out, Kate's other hand struck his throat with precise force. All 12 Praetorian guards lay defeated. Kate stood alone before the massive door to the Emperor's throne room. Blood, both hers and the guards', covered her clothes, but her expression remained calm, focused. She checked the time. 6 hours and 53 minutes had passed since the Emperor's ultimatum. She had 7 minutes left. Kate placed her hand on the throne room door. This wasn't a simple security system. The door responded only to specific genetic signatures, those of the Emperor and his most trusted advisors. No hacking or brute force could open it. But Kate had another solution. During the fight, her nanites had collected genetic material from the guards. She instructed the nanites to reconfigure, temporarily mimicking the genetic pattern of the highest-ranking guard. Her hand changed slightly, the skin color shifting to match Zaraki scales. When she pressed it against the security panel, the massive door began to slide open. Inside the throne room, Emperor Valak received reports of the disturbance. His advisors urged him to evacuate to his personal escape ship, but the Emperor refused. No single infiltrator could pose a true threat to him. His personal shield technology would stop any conventional attack. "Bring up the security feed," he commanded. The screens activated, showing the corridor outside. The Emperor's 4 eyes widened as he saw his elite guards lying defeated. A single human female stood at the door, her clothes torn and bloody, but her posture showing no sign of injury or fatigue. "Impossible," whispered one of the advisors. The Emperor rose from his throne. "Activate all security measures. No one enters this room." But the door was already opening. The genetic security system had been fooled. Kate stepped into the Emperor's throne room. It was vast, designed to intimidate visitors with its scale and grandeur. The ceiling arched 50 feet above, covered in murals depicting Zaraki conquests. The floor was polished stone, black as space itself. At the far end, on a raised platform, stood Emperor Valak's throne. It was made from metals harvested from conquered worlds, each piece representing a fallen civilization. The Emperor himself stood before it. He was taller than other Zaraki, his scales a deeper blue with gold patterns that signified royal lineage. Around him, a faint shimmer in the air revealed his personal shield. "You've come far, human," the Emperor said, his voice echoing in the vast room. "Farther than any enemy has ever reached." Kate walked forward steadily. Her nanites scanned the room, identifying hidden weapons and security systems. They were already working to counteract the Emperor's shield, analyzing its frequency and composition. 7 hours, Kate said. "That's how much time you gave Earth to surrender." The Emperor's mouth twisted in what might have been a smile. "And you've spent nearly all of it reaching me. A remarkable achievement, but ultimately futile. My fleet still surrounds your world. One word from me, and Earth burns." Kate continued walking toward him. The remaining advisors fled the room, recognizing the danger that their Emperor, in his arrogance, refused to see. "You don't understand what's happening," Kate said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "I'm not here to negotiate. I'm not here to plead for mercy." She was closer now, close enough to see the Emperor's 4 eyes tracking her movements. His shield glimmered between them. "What you're witnessing is the end of your empire," Kate continued. "It begins with you." The Emperor laughed, a harsh sound, like stones grinding together. "You humans are so dramatic. Even facing extinction, you cling to hope. My shield technology cannot be penetrated by any weapon in the galaxy." Kate stopped just outside the shield. "This isn't about weapons. It's about adaptation. That's something your kind never understood about humans." She pressed her hand against the Emperor's shield. At first, nothing happened. The shield held firm, energy crackling around her fingers. Then slowly her hand began to pass through. The nanites in her body had matched the shield's frequency, allowing her to move through it as if it weren't there. The Emperor's eyes widened in shock. For the first time in his 300-year reign, he felt fear. "What are you?" he whispered. Kate stepped fully inside the shield. "I am what humanity created to survive. Your scientists would call me a human nanite hybrid, but my people named me after something from our oldest stories." 3 years earlier, Colonel Catherine Frost stood in an underground lab 50 floors beneath Denver. The mountains above had protected this facility from the first Zaraki attacks. Most people didn't even know it existed. "Are you absolutely sure about this, Kate?" Dr. Olivia Reeves asked. She held a syringe filled with what looked like liquid metal. "Once we start, there's no going back." Kate's face showed no doubt. "The Zaraki destroyed our colony on Mars in one day. They killed 10 million people without warning. We're dealing with an enemy that's stronger than us in every way." She rolled up her sleeve. "The Defense Council rejected your proposal because they're scared of creating something they can't control. But I've seen the Zaraki up close. If we don't find an edge, humanity doesn't stand a chance." Dr. Reeves still hesitated. "The nanites will change you. We don't know exactly how." "That's the point," Kate said quietly. "We need something the Zaraki have never seen before." The injection burned like fire in Kate's veins. For 3 days, she drifted in and out of consciousness. The nanites spread through her body, bonding with her cells, rewiring her nervous system. When she finally opened her eyes, she felt different, sharper, faster, like her body was humming with energy. The tests that followed amazed even Dr. Reeves. Kate could run at speeds that should have broken her legs. Her reaction time was 3 times faster than normal. When they cut her skin, it healed within seconds. Most impressive was her ability to interface with technology. Kate could touch a computer and feel the data flowing through it. The nanites extended from her fingertips like microscopic wires, connecting directly to circuits. But there were problems too. Sometimes Kate would stop in the middle of a conversation, her mind somewhere else. The nanites were changing how she thought, making her calculations more precise, but less human. "We need to put limits in place," Dr. Reeves insisted, after Kate went 20 hours without blinking during a simulation. "I'm developing a control system that will let you activate and deactivate the nanites," Kate agreed. They designed a neural switch that would keep most of the nanites dormant until needed. It wasn't perfect, but it would slow the changes. Now, 3 years later, Kate sat in the cramped phase shift pod. The full activation of the nanites had changed her already. She could feel them moving under her skin, reinforcing her bones, enhancing her muscles. Her mind processed information at incredible speed. "Launch sequence starting," said Charlie's voice in her ear. "Phase shift pod will deploy in 60 seconds. Commander Wright's voice came through next. "Kate, are you sure about this?" Kate smiled, slightly. Alan had asked her the same question before every dangerous mission for 15 years. "The diversion is ready," she replied. "All our remaining fighters will attack the north section of the fleet. The Zaraki will think it's a desperate last stand. While you slip through to the flagship," Alan finished, "God help you if this works, and God help us if it doesn't." 10 seconds to launch," said Charlie. Kate closed her eyes. The nanites calmed her heartbeat and regulated her breathing. She felt no fear, only a cold determination. Launch. The pod shot out from Earth's last orbital platform. It was barely larger than Kate's body, designed for stealth rather than comfort. As it accelerated toward the massive Zaraki fleet, Kate monitored her approach on a small screen. On the other side of the fleet, Earth's fighters began their attack. Kate watched as tiny dots of light moved against the massive alien vessels. Many disappeared almost immediately, shot down by Zaraki weapons. "Phase shift activation in 10 seconds, said Charlie. Kate felt the nanites spread further through her, body preparing it for the strain of phase shifting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The world around Kate blurred. A sensation like electric current ran across her skin. The pod's walls became transparent for a moment, then solid again. She felt nauseous and disoriented. Phase shift successful, Charlie reported. You've passed through the outer defenses of the Imperial flagship. Kate checked the small screen. The pod had materialized inside what appeared to be a storage bay. No alarm sounded. The phase shift had worked exactly as Dr. Reeves had predicted. Kate opened the pod and slipped out. The air felt strange in her lungs, slightly thicker than Earth's atmosphere, with a sweet scent that reminded her of cinnamon. The nanites adjusted, her breathing automatically. She touched her hand to a nearby wall. The nanites extended from her fingertips, connecting with the ship's systems. Information flooded her mind. Schematics, security protocols, communication channels. Kate now knew exactly where Emperor Valak was, and how to reach him. She moved silently through the storage bay, her body almost flowing from one shadow to the next. The nanites enhanced her stealth, adjusting her footsteps to make no sound. When she reached the door, she didn't need to touch the control panel. The nanites sent a wireless signal that made it open automatically. In the corridor outside, a Zraki engineer turned in surprise. He was taller than Kate by at least 2 feet, his blue-scaled skin glistening under the ship's lights. Before he could reach for his communicator, Kate was on him. One hand covered his mouth while the other pressed against his chest. The nanites extended from her palm, cutting through his armor as if it were paper. The engineer slumped to the floor. Kate dragged his body back into the storage bay. She needed to blend in. The dead engineer's uniform wouldn't fit her, but she had another solution. Kate touched the wall again, accessing the ship's personnel files. She found what she needed, the layout of officer quarters nearby. 5 minutes later, a female Zraki officer walked out of her quarters and found Kate waiting. Before she could scream, Kate pressed her hand against the officer's throat. The nanites spread quickly, paralyzing but not killing. I need information, Kate said softly. The nanites translated her words into the Zraki language. The officer's 4 eyes widened in fear. Human, she hissed. How did you get aboard? Where does this corridor lead? Kate asked, ignoring the question. To the main lift system, the officer replied, her voice trembling. Please don't kill me. I'm just a communications specialist. Kate's eyes were cold. The lifts are guarded? Yes. 2 guards at each entrance, Kate nodded. Thank you. She pressed her hand more firmly against the officer's throat. The nanites spread further, reaching the officer's brain. Kate had discovered this ability during the 2nd year of the war. She could extract information directly from another being's mind. It was invasive and painful, but effective. Images flashed through Kate's mind. Security codes, guard rotations, the quickest route to the Emperor's throne room. When she finished, Kate lowered the unconscious officer to the floor. The nanites had taken what they needed without killing her, but she would remain unconscious for hours. Kate moved on. The ship was enormous, a city in space. Thousands of Zraki went about their duties, unaware of the human infiltrator moving among them. When she couldn't avoid being seen, the nanites adjusted her appearance, bending light around her to create a blurring effect that confused observers. As she approached the main lift system, Kate saw the guards. 4 Zraki soldiers in black armor, carrying energy weapons that could vaporize a human instantly. She couldn't fight them directly without raising alarms. Instead, she touched a nearby control panel. The nanites interfaced with it, sending false commands. Suddenly, alarms blared in a distant section of the ship. Security breach in engineering, announced a voice over the ship's communication system. The guards looked at each other. 2 remained at their post while 2 hurried toward the supposed breach. Kate smiled. 2 was more manageable than 4. She picked up a small metal object from the floor, some kind of tool left by a maintenance worker. With perfect accuracy, she threw it down the corridor away from the lift. The guards turned toward the sound. Kate moved, faster than human eyes could follow. The nanites powered her muscles beyond their natural limits. The first guard died before He realized she was there. The second managed to raise his weapon, but Kate was already behind him. Her hand touched the back of his neck, and nanites flowed into his nervous system, shutting it down instantly. Kate entered the lift and pressed her palm against the control panel. The nanites bypassed security protocols, instructing the lift to take her to the level just below the Imperial throne room. As the lift rose through the massive ship, Kate felt the nanites adapting further to her needs. They had learned from the brief combat, adjusting her reflexes, strengthening her muscles even more. But she also felt the cost. Parts of her felt numb now, like they belonged to someone else. The nanites were replacing human tissue with their own structures. Just as Dr. Reeves had warned, Kate pushed the thought aside. There would be time for regrets later, or there would be no later at all. The lift slowed to a stop. Kate prepared herself for what was coming. The doors opened, revealing a wide corridor decorated with Zraki battle flags. At the far end stood a massive door made of black metal. Beyond that door was Emperor Valak's throne room, and between Kate and that door stood 12 of the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy, the Emperor's Praetorian Guard.